Welcome back to Data Center News Asia. We are delighted to be joined this week, not in my lounge or in James's office, but from Honolulu, which I guess it's kind of Asia Pacific, right? I mean, it's Pacific. It's very much in the middle of the Pacific. By
Yes,
Brian Moon, the CEO of PTC. Thank you for coming on the show, Brian.
you're welcome. Great to see you both again. Always enjoy our time together. And you're right. I'm right in the heart of where PTC is going to be taking place in, believe it or not, 40 days.
40 days. So I think this will be my fourth or fifth PTC. I think James will be coming on at least one more than me.
No, this will be my fourth as well, actually.
Oh, yeah, because you keep missing them when you have babies. That's very inconvenient. Yes, but it's a fantastic show every year. It's a big get together for all parts of the industry, hyperscalers right the way through to investors, operators, service providers like us. But Brian, why don't you, because we have new viewers coming on every year for us. The industry is expanding, so we're meant to be being welcoming. A lot of people will probably see the photos coming up of people on the beaches in Hawaii, the scenic vistas of Waikiki, and thinking this is just some silly getaway that the execs have planned every year. Why is PTC so special at the heart of the digital infrastructure and the telecoms industry?
Yeah, so just as a quick summary for the new viewers and listeners. So the organization, the Pacific Telecommunications Council, has been around for more than 4 decades. It was founded and is headquartered still here in Honolulu, where I'm based. And over the past 4 decades, it's evolved into a meeting between government officials and telecom providers early on. And now it's become, as you said, Rhys, one of the most important gatherings for our industry. I've coined the phrase and I've probably used it time and time again, but I call it the Davos of digital infrastructure for those who are familiar with the big Davos meeting that happens. And the reason I say that, it does bring in all of the major players in the industry, right? It just so happens to be that or the organization, again, 4 decades ago, happened to land and wanting to meet in Honolulu, which is not a terrible place to meet at in the middle of winter for many people. But the reason for that in itself, it brings together a lot of the major players who obviously are taking a lot of time and financial investments to travel here. So they're going to make the most out of their time. And the backdrop is just icing on the cake. But that's what's made the meeting so special is you have all the major players, whether they are longtime veterans in the industry to up and coming companies who I know we'll talk about in the next couple of minutes. But it's become, again, one of those really, really important highlights to kick off the year. To bring the industry together and start a lot of these business conversations and industry conversations, and really starts to plan out 2026.
And Brian, we were kind of discussing before, as Rhys sorted out his Wi-Fi issues, we were discussing what's new this year. Like I'm constantly getting asked by people out here, oh, should I attend? What's in it for me? And again, I kind of reiterate some of the points you just mentioned. But for anyone who's kind of on the fence or maybe in a industry adjacent to some of the data centers or the telecoms or the network folks, what's new? What's different this year? What are the kind of the key trends which are driving engagement from new groups?
Yeah, James, you bring up a really good point. And before I get to answering your question, is what's made the conference or the event really unique is that first and foremost, we talk about the industry celebrities and the VIPs and the C-suite that attend, and where else can you meet the C-suite of a major telco organization, probably in an aloha shirt, right? And walking around and conducting business that way, it just makes the atmosphere unique. But what makes the event what's really interesting about it is that you get a mixture of everything. And there's lots of obviously events in our industry that happen throughout the year, but we have this great mix of not only the business meetings that happen, but you have really high level networking events that happen. We also have really focused on the past 3 years on the content and the engagement of the content. So what we realized is that we have all these CEOs, these chairmen, presidents, the C-suite coming and attending, and people wanting to see and hear from them. So we really put a focus on areas like the center stage, that's our version of the keynote stage. This year, we've actually added another stage called the Alaka'i Stage, and that's a Hawaiian word for to lead and to guide. So think of it as a TED Talk style, much more intimate than what the center stage is going to be. But we have another track of sessions that are going to be happening on the Alaka'i Stage as well. This is in addition to the topical sessions, which are just like as the name suggests, that it's more focused and smaller room sessions, but content's going to be really important for us, and that's why we continue to invest in that. And again, in addition to the networking that happens in the business meetings. So we have this great mix of what's going on over the course of 4 to 7 days, because we're seeing more and more people come earlier and staying later. So we have this great mix at the conference. So all the newer viewers and listeners, it's not a trade show, it's not an exhibition, but it's a high level networking, content, interactions, and bringing, again, the industry together. And timing couldn't be better because it kicks off the year for many, many organizations.
Yeah, and Brian, just on that piece about mixing with the C-suite, a friend of Data Center News Asia a couple of years ago, he gave me great advice, which I still apply to this day, and that was, of course, book meetings. You want to make the most of your time, but do allow for those kind of random encounters where you might bump into someone over breakfast or at the bar or at one of the panel sessions or something like that, because, like I said, you never know who you're going to bump into at PTC, and sometimes these kind of serendipitous meetings actually turn out to be the most productive, especially when they're in a slightly more casual or laid back environment. So as an attendee, that would be something that I would kind of pass on to the audience or anyone who's kind of organizing their PTC for the first time.
Yeah, that's a great story, and it brings me up an example as well. Similarly, a couple of years ago, I was standing near the top of bar, which all of us are familiar with, right at the Central at the Hilton. I was sitting there chatting with a member, and he goes, "Oh my goodness, did you know that was so and so? I've been trying to get a meeting with him for months, and I haven't been able to reach him in any way. But at PTC, I saw him over there a couple of hours ago, and I said, can I just have 15 minutes with you?" And it happened to be one of the best meetings he had all week, because it was one of those serendipitous moments, like you said, James, just happened to be seeing him walking by the top of bar, was able to grab him for a couple of minutes, and it made the trip worthwhile.
Yeah, well, I think if you bump into like Andy Power, the CEO of Digital Realty in New York, in a suit and tie, it's probably quite intimidating. But when he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt and he's at the luau, it's actually much more approachable environment. And so yeah, those meetings are, I think, the real value that we get out of it in our part of the business. And I'm looking forward to the new stage. I will, of course, be doing my recruiter panel in a broom cupboard at the back on the the furthest section of the topical sessions. But as James said, I think it's more about the people than the events at PTC. And last year we noticed, well, I mean, if you talk to people like Bill Barney, who've been going for 300 years, it used to be an old telco event, and it used to be all the AT&Ts, and now it's the Microsofts and the ByteDance and the Metas that are running the show. But last year, the big trend I noticed was power companies. There was, everywhere you went, there was someone from Dominion, from Constellation, from new power developers, battery companies, and energy was the new topic, and that's only increased. But who else are we expecting this year, Brian, that we might not be thinking of from our usual kind of data center and telco lens?
Yeah, we'll still see power. Rhys is obviously still on everyone's minds, right? How are these huge data centers, these huge products? Where are the powers coming from? So we'll still see a good representation from the power companies there. In addition to that, what the trend we've seen, even growing from last year or increasing from last year, is that we're continuing to see more government officials attending, not only from the United States, but all over the world. Because all of these issues we're talking about are just not centric to one country, right? It's going to be impacting everyone who wants to get into the industry or needs to invest in this. We'll continue to see power companies, continue to see government officials growing. We've also, we talked about it for a second, the private equity companies. Who's paying for all this? Who's funding it, right? So we're seeing a huge increase in the private equity companies. Actually, our first session on Center Stage on Monday morning is going to be talking about that. So we have Gautam from 𝐰𝐡𝐚𝐭 Capital, who's going to be part of that session. And so, capital is going to be huge, and that's going to be continuing on a huge topic for the industry and going to be at the conference. There's this new trend called AI. I don't know if both of you have heard of that. It's kind of a buzzword right now, I think, but in all seriousness, so AI obviously is all part of that conversation as well. So we'll have several representatives from NVIDIA who will be speaking, but also be attending. And they also spoke at our Washington, D.C. event, so we're excited to have them. And one of those categories that has always existed, but seems to be coming back on the forefront, is satellite technology. And so the satellite luncheon, we have a representative from SpaceX for the first time who will be speaking. And so I'm sure he'll be drawing in a lot of attention. And then we have obviously folks from Amazon, Kuiper, who will be in attendance as well. So a good mix. And I think that's a great example and a great reminder also. It's not just a data center event or data center week, but we have the entire landscape of the industry in all categories, including government, academia represented, and high-level folks from all.
Yeah, no, Brian, it's like the conference is obviously a great part, and it is a reason people attend, and I'm sure it's what's attracting a lot of first-time attendees to the event. For anyone whose first time it is, like what are some of the practical tips you would give them? Like we've already touched on, don't necessarily think that booking a million meetings in advance is the most efficient way or the best way of ensuring a good week. But what are some of the other things that you would kind of advise people if it was their first time in attendance?
So the first advice I would give is we've actually invested a lot into our mobile app, and so lots of organizations or lots of events use the mobile app, which I understand, but we wanted to make sure that we were listening to the feedback from our own attendees and our own members on what they use the mobile app for. So when you use the mobile app, you'll see that we've focused really a lot on the interactions within the app. So there's the messaging feature, there's the networking feature. You'll be able to search for attendees, filter by country, by industry. And so I really encourage folks who are registering now to invest a few minutes into the mobile app, because it is going to be the main resource that attendees can use to, again, build out their schedules or to schedule meetings, like you said, James, and just to see, what's going on and what's going to be applicable to them during the week. Another new program that we have this year based on feedback that we received is we're actually conducting a first-time attendees workshop. So everyone's welcome to attend, but this is geared towards the attendees who are coming for the second year and just want to make sure they're maximizing the week. And so that's taking place at the beginning of the week. I'll be co-hosting that, so it'll be great to see a lot of the first-time attendees and just give them those tips and tricks on how to make the most of the week. But as you said, James, it's going to be a busy time. It's really how someone is going to juggle their schedule appropriately. But hopefully tools like that will make the best use of their week and the resources. So we try to provide all of that, and hopefully the attendees appreciate it, because there's a lot to see.
Yeah, well, yeah. Funny enough, I was actually just on the mobile app yesterday, and I noticed significant improvements. So looking forward to having a play with that actually today.
Good, thank you.
Fantastic. Well, Brian, we love having the partnership with PTC every year. We always get some great content, as you say, the number of random industry legends and CEOs that we're able to just pick up for data center news interviews, let alone business meetings, is always great. We appreciate you coming on to share some news and views with the viewers. I think I need to check that I've got the code, but I think our discount code will be in the comments if you haven't booked yet, but we advise you to get your flights booked. I think the ones via Japan from Singapore are already shooting up in price to Honolulu for that week. We normally ask people what their favorite party is when we're doing these interviews after the show. I guess you have to be biased towards one of the official events.
I do. So the opening reception is Sunday evening, and so that's the official welcome to everyone who's attending the conference, and everyone is welcome to attend that. We do have the member soiree, which is the night before, and that is a smaller event where all of PTC members are eligible to attend that. One event I am actually really excited about, and I'm going to put you both on the spot, is we have a new lip sync competition that's happening Monday night at the Top of Bar. So we have the Barstool Pitch, which is PTC's version of Shark Tank for those who watch the television program. But right after that, we're having a lip sync competition. So Rhys and James, putting you on the spot. We'll see if you two show up and perform. And then we close out the weekend celebration. So the PTC Awards breakfast and ceremony is Wednesday morning, where we celebrate the industry and give out awards and recognize those companies who are innovating new technologies, new solutions, and driving the industry forward. And then, obviously, as both of you know, there's lots of other events that happen throughout the week. And so use the mobile app, and that will help.
Right.
Well, we do a great rendition of Stan. You'll have to guess which one of us is Dido and which one of us is Marshall. Thanks for coming on the show, Brian. You've been a star as usual.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks to you both.